Welcome to the Sharlot Hall Museum. The short video which you are about to see will give you an historical overview of the Sharlot Hall Museum and the surrounding area. Please enjoy the story, the adventure, and the history of Central Arizona.
I remember it well. As a young girl, I rode over the ridge. The snow was so deep that travel was difficult. Much of the time we were in peril because of my uncle. He had a genius for taking sheep trails. The creek was hidden in undergrowth, and the hills were lost in pines, all snow-covered. Our journey ended at 3 log cabins under a cluster of huge pines where my Uncle Boblet and his family lived.
Archaeologists say the first inhabitants came to the western part of North America more than 9,000 years ago. Native peoples believe they have been here much longer. Arizona's high country encompasses roughly the middle third of Arizona. The central highlands extend from the Mogollon Rim southward to the Salt and Gila rivers, or in modern terms, from Interstate 40 to Phoenix. The earliest people may have been the ancestors of the Yavapai tribe, whose reservation today is bordered on all sides by the city of Prescott. At one time, the Yavapai controlled over 10 million acres, which supported 4,000 people. Women and children supplied the majority of the Yavapai diet, gathering such foods as acorns and agave root. Many changes fell upon the Yavapai. They were forced to adapt to these changes, and they moved many times. A journey between camps could take 4 days. Any necessities were moved in burden baskets. Spanish conquistadors briefly explored the east side of the Central Highlands in 1540. Later, in 1829, fur trappers crossed Walnut Creek west to the Colorado River. These men followed many of the rivers of the Southwest in their quest for fortune, adventure, and beaver pelts. In the years after the United States-Mexican War of 1848, Army surveyors such as Sitgreaves, Whipple, and Ives were sent to map the newly acquired territory. Settlers came to the area for different reasons. Some came for adventure, some came to homestead, and some came for gold. Gold and other mineral riches got the attention of President Abraham Lincoln, who created the Arizona Territory in February of 1863. He viewed the minerals as a source of funding for the Civil War. Later that year, explorer Joseph Walker undertook the last and most productive adventure of his career. Walker's search for gold took place during the Civil War, when the North and the South desperately needed the money. This yet-to-be-named frontier settlement was established as Arizona's territorial capital in 1864. Governor John Goodwin refused to establish the capital at Tucson, as it was a hotbed of Confederate sympathizers. Skirmishes developed between cattlemen, miners rushing to the area, and the Yavapai who already lived there. Fort Whipple was relocated to the banks of Granite Creek to support and protect these newcomers. Named for historian William Hickling Prescott, the town was Arizona Territory's second largest city with almost 2,000 residents. The citizens of Prescott and the soldiers of Fort Whipple collaborated on cultural events such as band concerts, formal occasions, and theater. By 1870, Prescott's booming population included 6 Chinese citizens, 3 cooks, and 3 laundrymen, all between the ages of 29 and 30. When Sharlot Hall's family came to Prescott in 1882, there were 5 churches, a theater, 2 banks, some 20 stores, and 18 saloons. In its heyday, Whiskey Row boasted a number of drinking establishments. Legend has it that thirsty cowboys and rowdy miners would have one drink in each saloon. Beef was scarce in the Prescott area. Herds of cattle were brought in to supply meat for the table. Evolved from actual ranch work, the first rodeo was held July 4th, 1888. Although nice women rode side saddle until about 1910, some daring ladies, such as rodeo performers, wore divided skirts and rode astride. Like many frontier towns, heated and lit by oil lanterns and other open flames, Prescott suffered several major fires. In 1909, Sharlot became the first woman in the Arizona Territory to hold public office. In 1917, the Arizona State Legislature gave the city of Prescott $7,000 to purchase the territorial governor's mansion. Sharlot realized that the governor's mansion must be preserved by someone, like herself, who was very familiar with the early history of Yavapai County. The Prescott City Council agreed, and in 1927 Sharlot moved her historical collection into the noble old building. For the rest of her life, Sharlot worked to preserve the territorial governor's mansion and to save Arizona's pioneer heritage. On April 9, 1943, Sharlot came to the end of the road she had traveled with so many other Arizona pioneers.
Life, I have loved you well. Forget the rest when you tell. My soul will not falter, nor quail, nor shrink from the end of my trail.
Both during and after Sharlot's lifetime, several buildings were added to the area surrounding the original governor's mansion. During the 1950s and 1960s, the museum grounds were landscaped. During the 1970s, the territorial governor's mansion was listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The Fremont House was relocated to the museum campus, and the modern museum center was constructed. In the 1980s and 1990s, the governor's mansion was renovated, and an outdoor exhibit was first dedicated at the site of Sharlot's Orchard Ranch. Today, the Yavapai Prescott Indian tribe preserves its ancient culture. The Yavapai people also play a vital role in the modern Prescott area economy. The Sharlot Hall Museum staff and volunteers carry on Sharlot's vision and passion for Arizona history. The museum has grown from a heritage site to a heritage campus of over 3½ acres. The museum hosts public events that showcase the area's history and culture. Exhibits in the museum center, the governor's mansion, and the Sharlot Hall building provide visitors a rich museum experience. The museum operates an historic print shop and publishes contemporary books, periodicals, and, for our members, special newsletters. Through living history performances, museum visitors experience frontier life as it happens. Visitors can explore the museum campus on their own or take a prearranged guided tour. Sharlot's original museum has become a museum campus of historic buildings and heritage gardens. Each summer, the Sharlot Hall Museum hosts a series of colorful festivals. After your museum tour, other local attractions you may want to visit are Fort Whipple Museum, located about 2 miles to the east,